This video is sponsored by Secondhand Embarrassment. Don't let the fear of looking stupid stop your creative endeavors. So I think this summer has been my time to kind of experiment with photography, with different video editing styles, and because of that, not a lot of what I've been shooting has been enough to do its own self-contained thing. So this is the first of a couple different videos of just maybe I went out for just an hour and took one photo, but still got footage of it. This is about, I think, going from mid-May to, well, now in early June. There's a lot of 4x5 here. There's some medium format, and it's enough where I want to record this and put it out before I forget, or at least have it in the back, ready to go before I forget about it. I'm finally comfortable with my 4x5 that I got. I've been shooting I've been shooting exclusively HP5, sometimes at box speed, sometimes pushed. And then for my Mamiya, I discovered that shooting Ektar during the day with a Pro Mist is actually a really phenomenal combination. And you'll see a lot of that in kind of the first half of the video. As soon as my semester ended, I knew that I needed to get away and force my body to be quiet. So I spent 2 nights in Wilmington and kind of got to have a good combo of medium format and large format photography. But on the way, I was able to go kind of on the more rural areas. I didn't take 40 because I just wanted to see if I can find any interesting things to take photos of. And while I saw a lot of different things, there's only a few things that were kind of right off the road that I could take pictures of without feeling like I was intruding. There wasn't a good angle for the 4x5. This was my first of 2 stops that I would take on the way to the beach, and the only reason I didn't do more is because while there's a lot of cool stuff that's out there, I'm not trying to intrude on somebody else's property, especially not on a Sunday. So this was kind of just off the side of the road. And for whatever reason, I decided that I wasn't going to pull out the 4x5. I think it was just too far back for the wider angle lens that I have on there. But I think it ended up working really well in color. Like, their colors are super, super vibrant. And I love the little bits of red of the bricks that contrast against the surrounding trees. second stop that I made was literally right off the side of the road. It was a freshly burned down shack, which is all of the information I would have had about it if one of the locals didn't pull up. It was this older man. He started asking me if I was part of the family who owned the property. I said no. I just thought this was a really interesting piece for photography. And he's like, oh, well, you know, I'm all big about recycling. I like to collect scrap nails and wood and metal and whatever. And he told me that it was the building that burned down was a general store that had been there since he was a kid. And he was born in 1944, so this freshly burned down building was a general store from at least before World War II, which is just unbelievable. I mean, it wasn't still actively smoldering, but the way the smell in the air was, you can tell that it had basically just happened. I took 2 pictures of this spot, one for me, one for a different project that I'm working on. And for this one, I shot it at f/16 and tried to get a little bit of swing into the picture, the front lens swing, to shift the focal plane. And I think it worked a little bit. The leftmost tower or fireplace is the most in focus, and I kind of misfocus a little bit on the right side, but I love how the more detailed kind of rubble at the base of the building is blurred out. And I would play a lot more with swing and tilt for like extreme blurring later on, but just as it stands for this photo with just a very slight amount, I really like the way it turned out. Before I could check in at the hotel, I placed myself at the beach, set my parking meter for like 4.5 hours, and just went. I think all in all, I ended up walking like almost 4 miles that day on the beach. And while I'm happy with how all of the photos turned out, the one of the pier in specific is my absolute favorite. I love how the pro mist kind of makes everything look super, super dreamy, and just the blues. Well, I mean, the main color in this is blue, but I just love how vibrant it is, and I love the little detail of the. I don't know why it makes me so happy, but the little detail of the no swimming sign. And I played around with painting out the people in the background because I didn't really think they would fit originally, but trust me, they absolutely have to be there. Like, it just adds scale to the picture and kind of humanizes it. Like, without the people in there, I mean, I don't mean to throw the word liminal space around because that's a very specific thing, but it removes a very important detail if the people weren't there. So I'm happy that I took it when I did. Dude, they've got a fucking Ford Model T. Jesus Christ.
Jack, please make
make more music, dude. You're so fucking talented. It's insane. I got sunburn on my feet. So it's currently 6:45 in the morning, and this could literally have zero meaning, or this could have been someone that came here last night and made what looks like a grave or a memento to somebody that I'll never know. And I don't know, just, it's a bit different now that the light is a lot less orange, but just walking over here and seeing the sun come up on this beautiful memorial, I just thought it was amazing. So I shot it like a portrait, super shallow at f5.6, about 1/250th of a second. So I'm shooting my HP5, but this one feels special, and I'm praying to everything that I believe in that I didn't move the camera out of the very shallow depth of field, because this probably isn't even going to be here by the end of the day, let alone whenever I decide to come back. So So the next morning, I got up super early and brought my 4x5 out, and not 50 paces from where I parked, I found this like grave or memorial. It was a rose in a sand mound. This is my only disappointment of this batch of photos, because I was so excited to make a portrait out of the flower, and while I was definitely going for, like, I knew that I moved the camera, but I didn't expect to move it so much that the rose is the only thing not in focus. Like, and it's not one of those things where I can go back and retake it, because I highly doubt that it was there a day after, let alone how, it's been too long now. But, what I was going for was more in line with this picture of my friend from school, where you can see all the detail on his face and like the front part of his hoodie, but then everything else just fades away. you know, the water bottle's out, the people in the background are out, like even the foreground is just gone. And where I think I really channeled that is in the following photo. So this pier is the thing that like everyone and their mom takes a picture of. So there may not be a picture here, but I'm gonna see if I can look around and find something different. It's starting to get a bit hot, but that's fine. Like there's some really, really cool texture on the barnacles right over here, but I don't really know if I wanna put my camera really close to the tide right here, but we'll see. That could be cool. The tide. You kind of saw my thought process unfold as I was walking around next to the pier, but I just love the extreme isolation of the waves hitting up against the pier. I think this amount of tilt is actually the same thing they do for like tilt shift photography. Like it's that kind where it makes everything look like a toy box. And while I haven't experimented with that just yet, I love how it looks like a giant fisheye. And then the reflection on the water is also another great touch. Just from the beach, this is my favorite photo of the black and white. The pier was my favorite, or they're both of the pier, ironically, but the one of the pier in color is my favorite color one, and then the one, this black and white one, is my favorite of the 4x5 that I took. This will be what I take if I don't find anything later. But we'll see. So you're not going to be able to see this because I'm not going to show it. But I ended up doing some swing, whatever that swing. So all three of these hopefully should be in focus. But I think I definitely found a comp here. So let's see what happens. I'm going for a little bit of overexposure because I really want some of that good depth of field. It's also bright ass sun, so we're gonna see what happens. So we've jumped forward a little bit to one day when I kind of had a bad day at work and needed to just be out in nature. So I went out to the lake with my 4x5. I had a single sheet left in my camera, and I just wanted to scout out on the beach or on the lake. And I'm still experimenting with tilt, or tilts. Swing. This is swing. This is tilt. I'm still experimenting with swing because I just think the idea that you can completely shift your focal plane is amazing. And I like that I tried to do like have all three trees in focus, but I think just shooting this at a much lower or a much higher aperture would have just been the way to go. It's kind of like swallowing your pride, where it's like, yeah, I'll just shoot it at f/64. And maybe part of that is I'm still adjusting to what apertures actually mean on large format, because I have a good idea of what f/16 looks like on 35. I have a good idea of what f/16 looks like on medium format, but it's just such another level of depth you can get with 4x5, but because of that, there's equivalencies. Like, you have to adjust your focal length, you have to adjust your aperture to have equivalencies. And I guess I need to go back and look at some documentation on what different apertures actually represent, just so I can get it fixed in my head for the future. Okay, moment of truth. I perfectly missed focus. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. I perfectly missed focus. So I've been trying to get this picture for like a year. In fact, I've actually taken it before on infrared about a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I never quite liked the way it turned out. And the last time I was over here with my 4x5, I rushed it. No, the picture was fine. The developing was shitty. So let's see what we can do. I'm kicking myself because this is another composition I just found walking back to the car. I just grabbed another holder to try and get it. I think it smells gonna be really good. It's these faster shutter speeds that always scare me. Close. Oh, here goes nothing. 3, 2, 1, and we have a picture. Simple as that. So this barn I first shot like 2 years ago when I shot my only roll I've ever done of Rolly infrared, and I liked it, but I knew I wanted to come back at some point and get a lot more detail just of the barn. And that originally happened in January, but I was developing the sheets before I had access to the tank I have now or access to the dark room on campus, which is usually where I do my developing. So I forgot to put in this piece of plastic that completes the light seal, and what would have been a perfectly exposed photo turned out to have a huge light leak over it, and it was just completely unusable. So this was my redemption, pretty much, going back and, okay, originally I was just going to shoot the one shot, and it turned out great. But then I ran back to the car to get my stuff, and I turned around and I saw just the way that the back of the shed, or the back of the barn, was like tucked away into the trees with the fence leading up to it, and I just absolutely loved it. So I took a secondary sheet. Thankfully I had more on my person, and these combo of photos I think are my favorite of the latter batch of 4x5. So it's like crazy fucking humid and actively raining, but there is a very specific shot that I have in my head that is all the way across campus. So I intentionally parked way the hell far away so I could do this walk in the rain, but I kept thinking to myself, like, why am I limiting? I have 3 shots left in that initial box of 4x5 film, but I can just buy more. So like, if I see a shot that can work on 4x5, I'm gonna shoot a shot that works on 4x5, essentially. So yeah. Hey stupid, you're on camera. So I went ahead and set up this shot, still in the rain, but not nearly as bad as before. There's another shot I tried to take in the gardens, but everything was getting soaked and I wasn't having it. So we're at the lake. This is the shot that I had in mind, and all of this film is going to be pushed to 1600. And even though it's kind of gray out, I'm gonna see if I can do as long of an exposure as possible by having the longest aperture, smallest aperture, most things in focus, longest exposure time, to try and get some really cool reflections off the water here. So let's see what happens. Well, it seems pretty consistent. Side's going in. This side. A little bit of movement, but should be fine. Guess it's the camera fighting back at me being mad that it's being shot in the rain, but 3, 2, 1, go. Cool. Wunderbar. I'm gonna preface this next photo by giving myself some credit, because my only complaint with it is something that I can't fix with the gear that I have. Like, I knew about this lake. I knew that shooting it in the rain might actually be pretty cool, and I knew that the subject I wanted to take a picture of. My only problem with the photo is that where I had to set up on the bank, paired with what's equivalent to like a 35 millimeter semi-wide angle lens, it placed the subject pretty far away, and there's a whole lot of empty space on the left. Well, empty space being, you know, the water and the trees and stuff like that. Like, I wanted to take a picture of these rafts that were sinking, because they've been there for at least 6 years, and probably way longer than that, but I can vouch for at least 6 years. And I love it. I love the way it turned out. I just wish that maybe I could punch in just a little bit, but given the size of 4x5, like, I might just be able to print it and have it be completely fine. So I'm complaining on something that might not even be an issue in the future, but overall I love the image. You know, I had a vision, I sought it out, and everything else is just coincidental. Okay, this looks really stupid, and I know that, but I was sitting here at the lake just enjoying being outside, and I look up and I see just the way that these trees are like contrasting against the sky. I think is super, super cool. It's an absolute bitch to focus, because I'm literally looking up at a 90-degree angle, but I'm just gonna shoot it at f/64 and actually take advantage of the fact that I'm doing it at I'm pushing it 2 stops to 1600, and I know that doesn't give you more light, but I think this would actually benefit from that kind of, from pushing. There's so many layers to it that, like, especially with the awkward angle, I don't even know where I would start to focus. So I'm just gonna hope for the best and then see how this goes. But yeah. I definitely fucking shook it. God damn it. So this last picture is by far the most contrasty sheet I've ever developed. Partially because I shot all these back half in 1600 ISO, so push 2 stops, which adds contrast. It doesn't add light. What's there is there. What's not there, you can't just magically create. And because I was shooting this basically at nighttime, like, it's very polar. Like, it's either 100% brightness or 100% darkness. But I think there's enough variation in the texture of the trees where it kind of doesn't really matter. It was like awkward as hell setting up the camera and like looking up at a 90-degree angle to take the photo. I could focus it I couldn't even focus it that well because I guess the way the lighting was the way the lighting was, it just wasn't letting me see that well. But I honestly like the look of the negative more than I do of the positive. Like, I'll probably put a picture of what the negative looks like. I just love all the texture in the white parts, which become the black parts when it's flipped. But I just love the negative. I love the negative more than the photo, which is so weird to say. So I'm taking my time with creativity. I'm kind of bouncing between 4 or 5 different avenues at any given time, and because of that, I think a more non-linear, not necessarily non-linear, but like non-consistent video could be nice. I mean, I'm traveling significantly less than I did last summer, but because of that, I'm technically more flexible. So I'm still gonna do a mix of like smaller contained videos and then longer, more grandiose stuff, but it's only June, so I'm happy that I have space and time to experiment. And the public shaming of recording outside has, I think, starting to run its course. It's wonderful to get outside, and the only way I'm going to get over my fear of people is just to do random shit sometimes. But I've said what I needed to say, and I'm ready to present this batch of photos to you guys. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Taking, making, appreciating, and there's far more to come. So be good. My microphone is attached to a spatula because I'm a professional photographer and I only have the best gear. Clearly.